In the West, we live in a world of obesity, diabetes, general ill health, depression and anxiety, or so it seems. It also seems to me that it's the food industry that pumps us full of the processed pap, sugar and vegetable oil that makes us sick and sad from cradle to grave. A new injection from Big Pharma, Ozempic, is billed as the antidote to obesity and might be the most expensive such treatment in history. No surprises there. My first guest tonight, actress and biohacker Davinia Taylor, has made it her business to understand how the food we eat is the ultimate key to health. Good evening.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Good to see you. I'm getting more and more obsessed with this subject of food and how it underpins everything about us, physically, psychologically and the work. What's been your food journey?
OK, so I've got 4 kids, 4 boys, and after I had number 3, I do number them, which I know sounds terrible. After I had number 3, Asa, my mum got really ill with cancer, and I started comfort eating, and I couldn't stop. I had put down alcohol many, many years ago because that used to be my crutch, but food stepped in to comfort me, and I was being told by doctors, you know, you're borderline obese, etc. You just need to have a calorie-controlled diet. And I found that whole willpower thing very difficult. I'm quite addictive by nature. And all these whole grains, vegetable oils, hidden sugars, even in things like sausages, were just triggering my mechanisms in my brain to have more and more and more. And I couldn't get off this sort of peak and trough of sugars and stuff. And it was so debilitating because once I picked up something like cereal in the morning, I was on a roller coaster for the rest of the day, and it just knocks your self-esteem. I'm piling on weight, but the brain fog was the killer for me. I had no energy, no zest for life at all. And so after number 3, I got pregnant with number 4, and I changed my eating altogether.
And did you know, I mean, you were aware of feeling this, what you're describing as brain fog. Did you know it was food that was doing that to you?
Absolutely not. I just thought you had to have a carb-heavy diet. I mean, I still have carbohydrates now, but I time them. I have them at night. So I have, like, sourdough at night. So you literally have a carb coma, you know, like you would do after a roast dinner.
So you take bread to go to sleep?
I do. Do you know what? It's better than Valium. It's not addictive. But and you can hack into your hormones to hack into your mental health. So I'm clear, productive during the day. I have lots of energy. Whereas at night time, I just nip into my melatonin production and I have a decent night's sleep. It's fascinating how you can do it. You can control your thinking.
So this is the hacking you're talking about?
Yeah, you hack into your biochemistry. It's biohacking. It sounds a bit space age, but it's not. It's super easy. It's just knowing your own body and your own triggers and stresses and mechanisms, and it's a fabulous industry.
But that really, I hear that strikes a chord with me, because I feel that we're told about public health, and I don't believe there is public health. I think there's just the health of the individual.
Yes. And
this idea that they've got, that they can come up with these one-size-fits-all, top-down solutions. Everyone take this. Everyone have a bit of this and you'll be fine.
It's ridiculous, of course. Like, somebody who is... Actually, to be honest, being a woman, it's a little bit more tricky because we are so complicated to track that they don't even test on us. They generally use men aged 25 or something, really? And we're supposed to be the same, you know. And also, there's a lot of constant fibre rhetoric. You have to have whole grains. I'm tracking my insulin, my sugar at the moment in my blood. And as soon as I have brown bread, whole grain bread, it spikes so ferociously right the way up the scale. And that triggers brain fog because your body's saturated with glucose. This is brown bread. It just turns into sugar. As soon as you consume it, it turns to sugar. So I may as well just have an ice cream.
And talk to me as well. One of my sort of bête noirs at the moment is vegetable oil. Talk to me about...
OK.
Sing me the song of vegetable oil.
Vegetable oil, deemed a healthy polyunsaturated fat. Your body doesn't recognise it. It was originally used as a detergent to clean farmyard machinery. Then some clever guy decided, hang on, we've got another revenue of income, let's put it into the food chain. So... And
it's rancid.
It's rancid.
They have to do all sorts to it.
Oh, there's so many processes, I won't even go into it. And, you know, it's deemed heart healthy. It's the opposite. The body doesn't understand what it is. And actually, there's a correlation between the increased use of rapeseed oil, sunflower oil, vegetable oil, direct correlation with heart disease. So what was deemed heart healthy seems to be the catalyst for the opposite. And I'd argue that low in saturated fat diets are part of the reason why we've got this Alzheimer's epidemic. The brain runs on fat as a fuel, not sugar. We are demonising fat for what sugar did. And this veg oil is a detergent, so it strips your gut, all the mucus lining in your gut. You can't get any messages to your brain that you're satisfied, that you've had enough food, so you're constantly hungry. It's literally eating detergent. It's crazy. And it's everywhere.
It's the same stuff that takes the stains out your clothes.
The pink stuff. First, that's plant-based. So, I mean, it is absolutely preposterous that it's in there.
Extraordinary.
I mean, what do you think? Well, I mean, the whole basis, everything is about food. That's the fundamental. That's what you run on. And if you're eating toxic rubbish...
Well, I mean, I'm no expert, but, I mean, I've just been persuaded to go back to olive oil and butter, which I presume are much better.
Yes.
And lard.
And lard. Yeah, the body understands it. It has done for a millennia.
And yet, I've sort of been inculcated into this idea that if you have vegetable oil or sunflower oil, it's somehow intrinsically more healthy.
It's not even food.
It's not food. And another crazy thing is, the low cholesterol rhetoric. So the American Heart Association, their guidelines is basically where the rest of the world takes all its information from. They have got a tiny paragraph somewhere like within this biblical-sized document, and it actually says... Dietary cholesterol is no longer a molecule of concern for overconsumption, but guess what? We've done no press on it. So the doctors don't know because they're too busy prescribing statins, which is probably the biggest drug on the planet. And I'm not like a conspiracy theorist.
No.
It's a fact. It's there. It's there, but no one knows about it.
Can we talk about statins very quickly? Yeah. Are you saying statins are actually counterproductive?
Well, actually, a lot of people are saying that it is triggering dementia. Right, the overuse of statins is draining the brain of its preferred fuel source, which is saturated fat. And cholesterol is what your brain is made... Every single cell in your body is made of cholesterol. It transports hormones. So I think a huge, big lid's going to be lifted on it soon. I mean, people actually, in the industry, people are calling Alzheimer's type 3 diabetes.
I mean, it's very... The only reason I ask is because my daughter is a doctor, and I'm of a certain age, clearly. I said, you're one of the few people, Dad, of your age that I know that isn't on statins. And I said, should I be taking them?
So many side effects.
Yeah.
So many side effects.
Julie, do you feel, when you hear this kind of conversation, when you hear this kind of information, it almost sounds sinister? It almost feels as if we're being made ill so that another industry can make us, in inverted commas, better.
Exactly. And, I mean, I was a teenager in the 90s, born in the 70s, teenager in the 90s, and in the 90s it was all about don't eat fat, don't eat fat, fats are bad. So as a teenager, when I was constantly worried about my weight, I grew up on Rivitas, brown breads...
Vitalite.
Everything dry, no fats, you weren't allowed fats for the devil. And it's really hard to unlearn that as an older woman because you're told that. But now I know myself, having, not as much as you, of course, but having learned my own body over time, reaching my 40s and realising, fats are really, really important. And my brain doesn't work if I don't get fats. Salmons and things like that, kind of fat. I feel absolutely dead if I don't eat fats. So it's really fascinating what you're doing and bringing this out because people still think it's bad.
That's why people have this misunderstanding of things like the keto diet. People think it's about that it's eating meat all the time as protein, but it's not really. The emphasis is supposed to be on fat.
Yeah, I mean...
you're supposed to get the bulk of your energy from fat.
Because, like I mentioned before, with this, you can see with sugars and whole grains that we are recommended to eat, it goes up and down, and that down bit is where you start craving. That's the trigger point. That's when your dopamine's gone down, and that's when you start going... And this can be like every 20 minutes. So if you're in the office or something, you can't think because you're going, ooh, what picky bits shall I have? I mean, I start my day, I have MCT oil, which is a medium-chain triglyceride, and it goes into your liver and shoots to your brain, and your brain is instantly fuelled with this brilliant ketone. And I start my day with that mixed into...
What is that derived from?
A coconut.
Right.
Yeah, it's a really fast, it's very short chains of carbon atoms. So unlike vegetable oil, it's like about 48 carbon atoms. This is about 8, and it shoots straight up to your brain. You get like a sort of a buzz, and you are not going to eat anything for a good couple of hours. So you can hyper-focus. I sell it. But, I mean, it's bizarre. People are saying, what on earth are you doing to your coffee? We're tipping oil into it. But I'm just like hacking into my brain chemistry, so much so I've got a company now called Willpower that I sell that because I'm so behind it, because there's so much addictive eating out there.
It's like that super coffee that people take where it's black coffee, but it's got butter and coconut oil in it.
Fatty coffee,
You've got a podcast about all of this as well, haven't you?
Because I just want to open up the question, open up the dialogue on why have we got all this misinformation and, all the plant-based rhetoric. These teenagers are getting sucked into it, and they need heme iron, they need B12. They're not going to get it from a supplement at all. So hack your health. Health is my new podcast, and I'm literally speaking to the experts on the front line, the professors who are right at the front of this amazing industry.
Yeah, I love the upfront shamelessness of some of it. You know, Pringles are, once you pop, you can't stop.
Absolutely, it's actually advertised. Yeah, I mean that's a massive disclaimer. By the way, this is addictive, and that's the veg oil, and that's the hidden sugars. Yeah.
Vinya Taylor, that was brilliant. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I've talked to you for the rest of the night about that. Obviously, you can tell. But we'll talk about this again. Thank you so much.